Good day, and welcome to a story that shook the United States during the spring of 2004. What began as a peaceful fishing trip on the calm waters of Chesapeake Bay would turn into one of the most horrifying murder cases in American criminal history. This is a tale of betrayal, deception, and calculated brutality that lurked beneath the facade of a seemingly perfect suburban marriage. A story where love turned deadly and where three suitcases floating in the bay would reveal secrets that shocked investigators and captivated the nation. In 2004, a macabre series of discoveries over Chesapeake Bay shocked residents and initiated one of the most mysterious investigations in the region's history. What began as a routine fishing trip would uncover a calculated murder that horrified investigators and revealed the dark secrets lurking beneath a seemingly perfect marriage. On May 5, 2004, the waters of Chesapeake Bay held a sinister secret. A fisherman casting his line near the fourth island, close to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, noticed something unusual floating on the surface at 11:30 a.m. What he pulled from the water was a dark green Kenneth Cole suitcase that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Inside the waterlogged luggage were packages wrapped in black garbage bags. When opened, they revealed human leg fragments. The fisherman immediately contacted police, who confirmed the grisly discovery. Two legs, apparently belonging to a man, though identification would prove challenging. This was only the beginning. 6 days later, on May 11th, a birdwatcher strolling along Fisherman's Island off Virginia's eastern shore spotted another suitcase washed up on the beach. This Kenneth Cole bag contained something even more horrifying: a severed head and torso. The walker quickly called emergency services, and investigators began to suspect these discoveries were connected. On May 16th, a third matching suitcase was found near the second Chesapeake Island by a sailor. This final piece of the puzzle contained more body fragments and, crucially, a weapon that likely was used in the murder. All three suitcases were identical Kenneth Cole luggage from the same set, and forensic analysis confirmed they contained the dismembered remains of one victim. The medical examiner's findings painted a picture of extreme violence. The victim had been shot multiple times in the head and chest. Evidence suggested he was first drugged with a powerful sedative, then executed. After death, his body was systematically dismembered, wrapped in garbage bags, sealed with tape, and stuffed into the matching suitcases before being dumped in the bay. Creating a facial reconstruction from the victim's head proved challenging, but investigators managed to produce a computer-generated sketch. On May 21st, Virginia Beach Police released the image to the public, hoping someone would recognize the face. The response was immediate. That same day, a woman contacted police, identifying the victim as William McGuire, a 39-year-old computer programmer and Navy veteran. But there was a puzzling element. Bill lived nearly 500 kilometers away in Woodbridge, New Jersey. How did his dismembered remains end up in Chesapeake Bay? William McGuire, known as Bill to friends and family, was born on September 21, 1964. He was an intelligent, charismatic man who had served his country in the Navy before transitioning to a successful career in technology. He worked as both a programmer and lecturer, providing well for his family. 5 years earlier, Bill had married Melanie, a woman 8 years his junior. Melanie was born on October 8, 1972, and had pursued an impressive educational path. She double majored in mathematics and psychology, graduating in 1994, then completed nursing school in 1997 with the second highest grades in her class. Her colleagues described her as exceptionally knowledgeable and beloved by patients. The couple had 2 young sons and lived in Woodbridge Township, a quiet suburban community they chose for its family-friendly atmosphere. From the outside, they appeared to be the perfect American family, successful, attractive, and devoted to their children. But investigators quickly discovered a troubling coincidence. At the time of Bill's disappearance, Melanie had just filed for divorce. This timing raised immediate red flags and made her the primary person of interest in what was clearly a calculated murder. Reconstructing Bill's final hours revealed a day that should have been celebratory, but instead became deadly. On April 28, 2004, the McGuires had finalized the purchase of their dream home, a $450,000 house that would give their growing family more space. Bill's phone records showed normal activity through the early evening. At 5:37 p.m., he called the gas company to transfer service to their new address. Between 6:44 and 5:59 p.m., he excitedly called 2 close friends to share news of the house purchase. After that, his phone went silent, highly unusual for a man who was typically always available and frequently taking calls from work or friends. The last person to see Bill alive was his wife, Melanie. According to her initial statement to police, their celebration had turned into a violent argument. She claimed Bill became enraged, physically assaulted her, threatened to take their children, and even tried to force a hairdryer into her mouth. Fearing for her safety, she said she locked herself in the bathroom. When she emerged, Bill had fled the house, taking nothing with him and declaring she would never see him again. Melanie suggested investigators check Atlantic City, claiming her husband had a gambling addiction and often drove there to cool off after arguments. She painted a picture of an unstable man with financial problems who might have fallen victim to loan sharks or organized crime. Detectives found Bill's car exactly where Melanie suggested, in the impound lot of a police station, towed from the Flamingo Motel parking lot in Atlantic City on May 8th. Security footage showed someone abandoning the vehicle at 12:04 a.m., but the recording was too blurry for identification. However, electronic toll records revealed something damning. Melanie had made 2 trips to Atlantic City around the time of Bill's disappearance. When confronted with this evidence, she initially claimed she had taken a taxi to move Bill's car out of spite, wanting to strand him there. But investigators found no taxi company had operated in that area at the specified times. Even more suspicious, Melanie had called the toll collection company's customer service line, attempting to delete one 85-cent charge from her driving record, the fee for her trip to dispose of Bill's car. When questioned about this, she claimed she was merely trying to avoid raising suspicions, but her actions had the opposite effect. The forensic evidence against Melanie was overwhelming and methodical. Bill's abandoned car contained microscopic human body fragments that DNA testing confirmed belonged to him. Crucially, forensics determined these fragments had been deposited after his death, suggesting his body was transported in the vehicle. Also found in the car were 2 syringes identical to those used at the fertility clinic where Melanie worked, along with a bottle containing a powerful sedative. This medication was available only by prescription and had been purchased at a pharmacy near the children's preschool, a location Melanie visited regularly. The prescription itself was fraudulent. Although it bore the name of a legitimate patient and appeared to be written by Dr. Bradley Miller, a physician at Melanie's clinic, handwriting analysis proved it was forged. The patient whose name appeared on the prescription told police she had never received such medication and had never been to that pharmacy. Someone had altered one digit in her phone number on the prescription. The black garbage bags used to wrap Bill's body parts were forensically matched to bags found in the McGuire apartment. A plastics expert testified that both sets of bags were manufactured on the same machine using materials from identical production batches. The odds of this occurring by chance were astronomical. Perhaps most damning was the duct tape used to seal the bags containing Bill's remains. DNA analysis of hair fibers stuck to the tape revealed genetic material from both Bill and Melanie. This placed her in direct physical contact with the materials used to package her husband's dismembered body. 2 days before Bill's estimated time of death, on April 26, 2004, Melanie had driven to Pennsylvania to purchase a .38 caliber revolver and ammunition. She used her driver's license, which listed her aunt's Pennsylvania address, and paid cash. The gun shop owner remembered her distinctly. She was well-dressed, professional, and notably the first nurse who had ever purchased a firearm from his store. A receipt for $9.95 was found among her purchases. The shop owner confirmed this price matched 2 items in his store, both types of ammunition. Ballistics analysis later proved that bullets recovered from Bill's body were identical to one of these ammunition types. But the gun purchase was just the beginning of what appeared to be a meticulously planned murder. Computer forensics revealed that after buying the weapon, Melanie had conducted extensive internet searches on her home computer. Her search history included disturbing phrases like undetectable poisons, how to commit murder, and detailed research about the sedative she would later fraudulently obtain. She researched the availability of the powerful sedative at various pharmacies and studied its effects on the human body. These searches painted a picture of someone carefully planning a murder, not someone acting in self-defense or in a moment of passion. Melanie's behavior after Bill's disappearance seemed designed to create an alibi and misdirect the investigation. On April 29th, the day after the murder, she met with divorce attorneys and visited the courthouse to file for a restraining order against Bill, though she ultimately didn't complete the filing, claiming the courthouse was too crowded. She checked into a hotel that night, paying cash, and made a point of being seen in Atlantic City. When Bill failed to return home, she went back to court to complete the restraining order paperwork, telling officials she feared her husband would try to take their children. Throughout this period, Melanie maintained contact with her lover, Dr. Bradley Miller, discussing their plans for the future. Phone records and emails revealed they had been planning a life together, including marriage and children, though both were still married to other people at the time. The investigation revealed Melanie's hidden motive, a passionate affair that had been ongoing since 2002. Her lover was Dr. Bradley Miller, the same physician whose name appeared on the forged prescription for the sedative used to drug Bill. The affair had begun while Melanie was pregnant with her second child and had intensified over the 2 years leading up to Bill's murder. Email exchanges between the lovers revealed their dreams of a future together, but divorce would have been financially devastating and potentially cost Melanie custody of her children. Friends later testified that Melanie had complained about the high cost of divorce proceedings and expressed concern that Bill might follow through on his threats to take the children if she left him. The $450,000 house purchase had further complicated their financial situation, making divorce even more prohibitive. For Melanie, murder appeared to be the solution that would give her everything she wanted: freedom from her marriage, financial security from Bill's life insurance, and a clear path to a new life with Dr. Miller. Investigators discovered more circumstantial evidence that built an increasingly strong case. A green fiber found embedded in one of the bullets matched the missing cushion from a green couch in the McGuire apartment. Experts theorized that Melanie had used the cushion as a makeshift silencer, explaining why neighbors never reported hearing gunshots. One of the suitcases contained a hospital blanket with markings from a company that supplied medical facilities. A witness confirmed seeing Melanie take several such blankets from her clinic, claiming she needed them to protect furniture during their planned move. The 3 Kenneth Cole suitcases were confirmed to be from a matching set. Melanie admitted the couple had once owned such luggage, though she claimed not to know what had happened to it. On June 2, 2005, more than a year after Bill's murder, Melanie was arrested while dropping her children off at school. She was charged with first-degree murder, and bail was set at $750,000. Her family quickly posted the money, and she was released pending trial. As additional evidence emerged, prosecutors filed supplemental charges, including weapons offenses and obstruction of justice. They alleged that Melanie had sent anonymous letters to police, trying to deflect suspicion and suggest she was the victim of a conspiracy. For her defense, Melanie hired Joseph Tacopina, one of America's most prominent criminal attorneys. Tacopina had built his reputation defending high-profile clients and was known for his aggressive courtroom tactics. The hiring of such an expensive lawyer indicated the seriousness of the charges and Melanie's determination to fight them. The trial began on March 5, 2007, and quickly became a media sensation. The prosecution presented their theory that Melanie had drugged her husband with the illegally obtained sedative, shot him multiple times, then systematically dismembered his body using surgical instruments possibly obtained from her medical workplace. They argued that she had planned the murder meticulously, purchasing the weapon, researching methods, and preparing an alibi. After the killing, she had disposed of the body parts in the bay, moved Bill's car to Atlantic City to support her gambling addiction theory, and begun an elaborate cover-up. The defense countered that the case was built entirely on circumstantial evidence. They maintained that Bill had indeed had gambling problems and suggested he had been murdered by organized crime figures. However, they could provide no concrete evidence to support this theory. During the trial, prosecutors called 64 witnesses, including forensic experts, police investigators, and people who knew the couple. The defense called 16 witnesses, but notably did not put Melanie on the stand to testify on her own behalf. After 7 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for 14 hours before reaching their verdict on April 23, 2007. Melanie was found guilty on 4 of 8 charges: first-degree murder, possession of a weapon for unlawful purposes, desecration of human remains, and perjury. She was acquitted on charges related to evidence tampering and prescription drug violations. The guilty verdicts carried severe penalties: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the murder conviction, plus additional time for the other charges. On July 19, 2007, Melanie was sentenced to life in prison. Under New Jersey law, this meant a minimum of 63 years and 9 months before any possibility of release, effectively a death sentence for someone in their 30s. Melanie has consistently maintained her innocence and has filed multiple appeals, all of which have been denied. She has claimed ineffective legal counsel and argued that jurors were biased by media coverage, but courts have rejected these arguments. In 2022, she gave a rare interview to ABC News, continuing to proclaim her innocence and claiming the real killer remained free. She expressed regret at not testifying during her trial and revealed that she had lost all contact with her two sons, who were placed with relatives after her conviction. The case inspired numerous true crime documentaries, a 2008 book by John Glatt titled To Have and to Kill, and a 2022 Lifetime television movie. It remains one of the most notorious murder cases in New Jersey history. The Melanie McGuire case stands as a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Here was a woman who seemed to have everything: a successful career, beautiful children, and a comfortable life. Yet beneath the surface lay a web of deceit, adultery, and ultimately calculated murder. The circumstantial evidence against Melanie was overwhelming in its totality. While no single piece of evidence might have been conclusive, the combination of the DNA evidence, internet searches, gun purchase, fraudulent prescription, affair motive, and her behavior after the murder created a compelling case for guilt. The methodical nature of the crime, the planning, the disposal of the body, the attempts at misdirection, painted a picture of someone capable of extraordinary coldness. The fact that she continued to maintain her innocence, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, only reinforced the prosecution's portrayal of her as narcissistic and manipulative. For the family and friends of William McGuire, the verdict brought some measure of justice, though it could never restore the husband and father who was taken from them. The case serves as a chilling example of how domestic violence can escalate to the ultimate betrayal, murder by the person who should have loved and protected the victim most. Today, as Melanie McGuire serves her life sentence, the question remains whether justice was truly served or whether a complex web of circumstantial evidence convicted an innocent woman. The jury's verdict suggests they found the evidence compelling beyond reasonable doubt, but the case continues to generate debate among those who follow true crime stories. What cannot be disputed is the brutality of Bill McGuire's murder and the devastating impact on the two young boys who lost both parents, one to murder, one to prison. The Chesapeake Bay suitcase murder remains a haunting reminder that sometimes the greatest danger comes from those closest to us. Thank you for listening to this story from the depths of American true crime history. Thank you for your attention, your engagement, and your support through comments and subscriptions. These cases, while disturbing, remind us of the importance of justice, thorough investigation, and the dedication of law enforcement professionals who work tirelessly to solve even the most complex crimes. I hope this story has given you insight into how circumstantial evidence can build a compelling case and how investigations require patience, expertise, and attention to detail. If you're interested in more true crime stories like this one, please let me know in the comments. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Remember that trust is precious, and our closest relationships deserve honesty and respect. Until next time, stay safe and keep questioning the stories beneath the surface. Good day and good night.